What if the love you give is the very thing destroying you? In a world that glorifies self-sacrifice and emotional martyrdom, we're taught that the more we give, the better we are. But what if that belief is a trap? What if unchecked compassion becomes a silent assassin of your energy, your identity, your soul? Alan Watts once said, "Trying to help someone who doesn't want to be helped is like pulling a plant out of the ground to make it grow faster." Oh, powerful, isn't it? Because beneath every act of overgiving, there might be a hidden wound, a fear of not being enough unless you're needed, a subconscious bargain with pain: take mine, and I'll feel whole. But this path leads to one place: self-erasure. In this video, we'll dive into the hidden cost of boundless compassion, not just emotionally, but energetically. Through the lens of Alan Watts and ancient energetic wisdom, you'll uncover why saying no is sometimes the most loving act, why detachment isn't cold, but sacred, and how to reclaim your energy without closing your heart. If you've ever felt drained from being too available, too understanding, too open, this is for you. Because your life force is not a donation, it is a sacred flame. And it's time to stop letting it flicker for those who won't light their own. In a world conditioned to praise self-sacrifice, many carry the subconscious belief that love must hurt. They give until their cup is dry, believing their suffering is proof of their goodness. But Alan Watts whispered a deeper truth, that what we often call selflessness is sometimes an unconscious attempt to control. It's not always about giving love. Sometimes it's about needing to be needed, to affirm one's worth through another's dependency. This creates a false loop of compassion that depletes both giver and receiver. People rarely question this emotional martyrdom because society labels it as virtue. But look closer. Does your compassion empower others, or does it make them reliant on you? The overgiver often becomes a quiet manipulator, not from malice, but from an unhealed wound, a belief that love must be earned through exhaustion. In this, the act of helping becomes more about maintaining identity than true service. Watts challenged this illusion. He spoke of the Tao, a cosmic flow that requires balance, not sacrifice. When we interfere too much, we block another's natural path of growth. What we perceive as help might actually be resistance to letting life teach its own lessons. True compassion trusts the intelligence of the universe. It doesn't grasp, it doesn't fix, it holds space and lets go. This shift is radical. It means confronting the part of us that fears being irrelevant if we're not needed. It's humbling, but it's also liberating, because when compassion is no longer a mask for control, it becomes clean, light, and free. It becomes aligned with source energy, flowing without distortion or depletion. Ask yourself, is your compassion expanding others or tethering them? And more importantly, are you giving from overflow or from fear? The moment you become honest with yourself, you reclaim a sacred truth. You were never meant to bleed just to prove you love. Empaths are taught to wear their sensitivity like a badge of honor, to feel deeply, love endlessly, and absorb the pain of others as if it were sacred duty. But Alan Watts would invite us to see this through another lens. What if absorbing another's pain isn't healing at all? What if it's a form of unconscious entanglement, one that confuses love with fusion and empathy with energetic codependence? There is a difference between feeling with someone and fusing with their wounds. The first holds space, the second collapses into it, and when we collapse, we no longer become conduits of light, we become energetic sponges. We take on burdens that aren't ours to carry, and in doing so, rob the other person of their own transformational fire. Because pain, if allowed, alchemizes, but if absorbed by another, it stagnates. Watts once described life as a dance, not a rescue mission. When we try to pull others out of their darkness too soon, we interrupt their rhythm and deny them their own awakening. This is not cruelty, it is cosmic respect. True compassion doesn't say, "Let me take this for you." It says, "I trust you can rise through this." That trust is a higher frequency of love. Absorbing pain creates energetic residue, emotional fatigue, spiritual disconnection, and even physical illness. The aura becomes cloudy. The nervous system enters a chronic fight or flight loop. And yet, we tell ourselves this is the cost of being a good person. But what if goodness isn't depletion? What if it's coherence? The ability to stay rooted in your own frequency while still radiating presence. The path forward is not emotional martyrdom, it is energetic sovereignty. You are not a trash bin for the world's unprocessed pain. You are a tuning fork. You can witness without absorbing, feel without drowning, love without leaking. That is real healing, that is real power. Alan Watts, with his usual paradoxical brilliance, often reminded listeners that life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. And yet many spiritual seekers fall into the trap of becoming helpers, assuming that others must be fixed, healed, or saved. It's a seductive archetype, the savior, fueled by the illusion that our worth is found in rescuing others. But beneath that noble surface lies a dangerous spiritual distortion, the belief that we know better than the intelligence of the universe. Helping becomes a form of ego inflation. It masks itself as humility, but whispers, "Without me, you'll fall." Watts would call this out, not cruelly but playfully, suggesting that in trying to save others, we may be trying to escape our own unresolved chaos. We turn outward because it feels safer than turning inward. We become obsessed with lighting everyone else's path while our own inner fire dims. The savior archetype is rooted in separation, the illusion that they are broken and I am whole. But in truth, no one can heal another. Healing is self-initiation. When we interfere too heavily, we interrupt the sacred timing of someone's soul journey. Watts would say, this is like pulling a butterfly out of its cocoon before it's ready. The wings are not strengthened, they collapse. Not because we didn't care, but because we didn't trust the process. The paradox is this: you can love someone deeply and still let them struggle. You can hold space without intervening. That space, clean, strong, unattached, is where real transformation happens. Because in that space, the other person meets themselves, not your version of them, but their raw, unfiltered truth. We must ask ourselves, are we helping because we feel called, or because we feel empty? Are we rescuing, or are we avoiding? The true mystic does not impose change. They become a mirror, reflecting light, not casting shadows. And in that reflection, others remember who they truly are. Unbounded compassion sounds noble, like a spiritual ideal. But in reality, it often becomes a leak in the energy system, a subtle hemorrhaging of life force that leaves the giver drained, resentful, and quietly unraveling. Alan Watts would remind us that nature is balance. The sun shines, but it does not chase shadows. The ocean holds, but it does not follow rivers. So why do we believe that love must mean endless availability? Every act of giving carries an energetic exchange. When that exchange is imbalanced, when we give without receiving or say yes when our body says no, we fracture our own energetic field. This is not just emotional, it's physiological. The nervous system overloads, the aura thins, the chakras destabilize, and the subtle body, which is the bridge between mind and reality, begins to weaken. This is the unseen cost of compassion without boundaries. Watts might say that we confuse sacrifice with service, that by giving too much, we're actually betraying the very thing we seek to honor, life itself. For how can we pour from an empty cup? And more deeply, why are we so addicted to pouring in the first place? Often, it's because our sense of self-worth is entangled with being needed. We fear stillness, we fear being selfish. But selfishness isn't taking care of yourself. It's demanding others care for you when you won't. Leaking life force doesn't always look dramatic. It's the quiet burnout. The subtle disconnection, the I'm fine smile when your soul is screaming, but make no mistake, it is spiritual erosion, and it accumulates. Over time, the empath becomes a ghost in their own life, haunting the lives of others under the illusion of service. The cure? Conscious boundaries, saying no with love, creating sacred space around your energy, not as a wall, but as a temple. Because when your life force is whole, your presence heals without effort. You radiate instead of rescue. And that is the highest compassion. Empathy is often seen as the pinnacle of spiritual evolution, the ability to feel what others feel, to connect soul to soul. But without discernment, empathy becomes enmeshment. The energetic boundaries blur. Your emotions become theirs, their chaos becomes yours, and you're left wondering why you feel so heavy, even when nothing in your own life is wrong. Alan Watts, ever the philosophical surgeon, would ask, are you truly feeling with others, or are you dissolving into them? The difference lies in vibration. Empathy has a clear, resonant frequency. It says, I witness you. It honors sovereignty. Enmeshment, however, vibrates with confusion and absorption. It says, I must feel this for you. And in doing so, it robs both people of clarity. The empath becomes exhausted, and the other remains disempowered. It's not a gift, it's a karmic knot. Watts spoke often about the illusion of separateness, but he never suggested the erasure of self. He understood that even in unity, there is individuality. Like waves in the ocean, connected but distinct. This is where many seekers stumble. They mistake merging for loving, but love doesn't dissolve identity, it amplifies it. Real love says, I see you in your wholeness, and I remain in mine. To break the pattern of enmeshment, one must become energetically literate. Learn the felt sense of your own vibration. Become so familiar with your inner stillness that when someone else's storm enters your field, you immediately recognize, this is not mine. Breath is your anchor. Presence is your shield. Discernment is your liberation. Empathy is a superpower, but only when rooted in clarity. When you master the vibrational distinction between holding space and collapsing into it, you reclaim your frequency. You stop being a sponge and become a mirror. And in that reflection, others see their own strength, not your suffering. To many, detachment sounds cold, like apathy dressed in spiritual robes. But Alan Watts reframed it entirely. He spoke of detachment not as disconnection, but as spaciousness. The sacred art of loving without clinging, giving without depletion, and witnessing without absorbing. Detachment, in this sense, is not the absence of care. It's the presence of trust. Trust in the other, trust in the self, and trust in the deeper intelligence of life itself. So many believe that to love is to carry, to hold, to fix, to suffer beside. But this belief creates chains instead of wings. Detachment invites a different kind of love, one that doesn't suffocate or fuse, but breathes. A love that honors the path of the other, even if that path is jagged, even if it diverges. This is love without ownership, compassion without collapse. Watts often used the metaphor of music, that life, like a song, is not about reaching a final note, but dancing with the rhythm. And in that rhythm, we must allow others to move to their own tempo. Not everyone is ready to awaken when we are. Not everyone wants to be saved. The wisdom of detachment accepts this without trying to control, convert, or coerce. It says, I love you even as I let you be. This kind of detachment requires inner work. It demands that we source our identity, not from being needed, but from being whole. It asks us to release the addiction to emotional chaos, the kind that makes us feel alive through drama and intensity. It's a quieter, deeper strength. The strength of presence, of stillness, of not reacting but responding one with grace. To love without losing yourself is to return to center again and again, to ground in your own frequency, even as you open your heart. It's not a withdrawal from connection. It's the foundation of true connection, because when you no longer need someone to be okay for you to be okay, your love becomes pure, boundless, and finally, free. To say no is a spiritual act. It is not rejection, it is alignment, and yet so many fear it. They've been taught that no is cold, selfish, or unkind. But in truth, no is the boundary that protects your sacred temple of energy. It is the line between self-love and self-erasure. Alan Watts might call it the balance of the Tao, the point where flow meets form and compassion meets clarity. Energetic sovereignty is the recognition that your life force is finite and therefore holy. Every yes you give is a transfer of energy. If that energy is given without authenticity, it becomes a drain. It creates resentment, fatigue, fragmentation. But when you say no from a grounded place, you are not withholding love. You are honoring it. You are saying, I value my presence too deeply to betray it. Watts taught that to align with the universe, we must stop pretending to be what we're not, and pretending to want to help when your soul says rest is a lie. The body knows, the nervous system knows, that tightening in your chest, the lump in your throat, those are not flaws. They are signals, invitations to return to truth. And truth, when spoken from the heart, liberates everyone involved. There's a sacredness to knowing your limits, not as weakness, but as wisdom, to recognize when your field is too porous, when your energy is not ready to hold space, when your inner child is the one who needs nurturing. This is deep maturity. This is sovereignty. You stop chasing approval and start embodying coherence. And here's the paradox. When you start saying no to what depletes you, you become infinitely more powerful in your yes. Your presence sharpens, your vibration rises, your impact deepens, because you are no longer leaking light, you are channeling it with precision. True boundaries are not walls, they are membranes, living, breathing agreements that protect energy while allowing love to flow. When boundaries are born from fear, they isolate, but when they arise from coherence, they heal. Alan Watts, though rarely speaking in therapeutic terms, spoke volumes in philosophy. He showed that everything in nature has limits, not as rejection, but as rhythm. The heart has chambers. The earth has atmosphere, so must we. To create boundaries that heal, we must first understand their purpose. Boundaries are not about keeping people out. They are about keeping your energy aligned. They allow you to stay in your truth while honoring someone else's path. That is compassion with coherence. It says, I can love you deeply and still not abandon myself. Most people wait until burnout to draw boundaries. They erupt, they retreat. But this is reactive. True boundaries are proactive. They emerge from knowing who you are, what you value, and what your energy needs to stay clear. This is spiritual hygiene, and when done with clarity, boundaries don't just protect you, they teach others how to honor themselves too. Watts often reminded us that the universe is a process, not a fixed state. And so too are boundaries. They evolve. What served you once may shift. The key is presence, listening, feeling your field, feeling when something contracts your energy, and having the courage to honor that sensation, not from ego, but from essence. When boundaries are infused with love, not guilt, not anger, they become healing in both directions. The giver stays whole. The receiver meets a reflection of strength, and in that reflection, they are invited to rise rather than lean. That is how we shift from codependence to empowerment, from leaking energy to becoming light itself. So the question echoes, How many times have you called it love when it was really self-abandonment? Compassion is divine, but compassion without boundaries is distortion. It's time we evolve beyond the wounded archetype of the Savior, the one who bleeds for others, thinking it's holy. Real love doesn't leak. It radiates, it holds its center. It whispers, "I am whole, and I see your wholeness too." Alan Watts didn't just challenge beliefs. He challenged identities. He invited us to step back, observe the dance of life, and stop forcing rhythms that don't belong to us. And in doing so, he gifted us a path of inner alignment. A path where empathy isn't martyrdom and detachment isn't cruelty. It's freedom. This journey wasn't just about boundaries, it was about energetic sovereignty, the power to feel deeply without drowning, to give generously without emptying, to walk with others without losing your way. If this message resonated with you, let your energy be a ripple, like this video. Subscribe to the Cosmic Awakening channel, and most of all, honor your light, because when you protect your frequency, you don't just heal yourself, you give others permission to do the same.